Here, YouTube wasn't wanting to let me go live in a horizontal setting. I thought that was a little bit interesting, but we are live right now. We are outside of the friendly confines of Studio B, and we are here at an undisclosed location somewhere in central Arkansas. So we're getting ready to talk about some NAIA football here on Midwest Sports Net. Good evening, I'm Joey McWilliams. Glad to get to be with you here on a Wednesday night. I know it's a little bit different than our normal Thursday night preview setup, but sometimes things change. Hey, we had a great time this weekend. Sunday's show was fantastic. Monday's show was fantastic as well. So I hope that you'll just be along with me tonight and maybe we get a chance to chat just a little bit. I know some of the normal folks may or may not be here because it is a Wednesday night. It's a church night too, but for the most part, it should be after church time. Probably time maybe to put some kids to bed. I don't know. Stop by the chat and let me know from where you are watching tonight. I think I can keep up tonight with the chat. I have another monitor going here from our hotel room. I'm getting ready to broadcast volleyball for the Great American Conference on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I'm excited about that, but I'm also excited to talk a little football tonight. And we did not make our picks on the show on Monday. Great show with Vince, with James. Coach Harrison, fantastic cameo, if you will, but we didn't get a chance to make our picks, so we need to do that right now. Let's go ahead and get right on into football on this Wednesday night. Reinhardt at St. Thomas. Now, these are the first 4 games. Seeds 13 through 20, if you will, in the NAIA playoffs, and I know there were no seeds that were actually listed beside these names. That gives the National Selection Committee an abundance of freedom to put whichever team with whichever other team that wins coming out of here. And I may have a couple of surprise picks for you. So anyway, Reinhardt at St. Thomas. And Matilda's watching from Spokane, Washington tonight. Thank you for watching us from Spokane. Who do I think Montana Western will play? Get to that here in just a moment. Thank you for asking that one. That's a very good question. We'll get right to that here in just a moment. Let's get through the first round playoffs, though, and talk about that. Reinhardt at St. Thomas. Reinhardt 8-2, St. Thomas 8-3 coming in. Unfortunately, we don't have graphics here in the hotel room as well. We have a rule here, and we've had it all of 2023 through the regular season. We don't pick against Reinhardt anymore. We picked against Reinhardt one time, I think 2 times in the regular season, completely embarrassed. We said we were not going to pick against Reinhardt again the rest of the year. We did not pick against Reinhardt the rest of the year. Reinhardt went undefeated the rest of the year. Took the Appalachian Conference automatic bid, the conference championship, make their trip into the playoffs. For Reinhardt, the Eagles have now been in the playoffs for 9 consecutive years. And not only that, but the program has an overall winning percentage of .798. That is like 0.02 of a point away from an even 80% all-time winning percentage. It's incredible. It's tops in the NAIA without question. And Reinhardt is led by Taylor Jackson. Taylor Jackson, 99 for a 167 passing, 1,801 yards for the season. Those are season totals. He's averaging 200.8 passing yards per game. I think that's a little bit easier to grasp there. So we'll go with 200.8 passing yards per game, 17 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He was 13 for 16, by the way, 183 passing, 1 touchdown passing, 1 rushing touchdown. Win over Georgetown. That's right. Reinhardt's the only team that has put up a W on Georgetown this season. Georgetown, the number 4 seed overall in the playoffs. Reinhardt also led by Jerdavian Colbert, 167 carries for 971 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns. And it's a strong defense as well that's picked off 20 passes this season, has 9 fumble recoveries, 20 sacks, giving up only 15.9 points per game. But wait, it's going up against a very, very tough St. Thomas team. This is the first ever appearance in the playoffs for St. Thomas. Again, after 2 9-2 seasons in 21 and 22, 8-3 this season, they finally get into the playoffs with this expanded field. It's also the first ever meeting between these two programs on the football field. St. Thomas led by Keely Watson, who simply went off last week, and he's passing at a clip of 200.8 passing yards per game. What an anomaly. Both quarterbacks coming in averaging 200.8 passing yards per game. Watson with 21 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions, and St. Thomas has the fantastic running back in Rontavious Farmer, 1,358 rushing yards this season, averaging 123.5 per game, second in the NAIA in that category. Also with 20 rushing touchdowns, second in the NAIA in that category as well, 6.2 yards per carry for Farmer. St. Thomas is putting up 46.6 points per game, also second in the NAIA. Reinhardt at 8-2, St. Thomas at 8-3. The rule has been in the regular season, we don't pick against Reinhardt this year, but we're not in the regular season anymore. St. Thomas has played an incredibly tough schedule, and we think that may be enough for Coach Reichel's squad. So Midwest Sports Net, we're going on the record. We're picking St. Thomas in that first round game of the night. So go ahead and chalk that up. We don't, again, no graphics so far. Sorry about that. No graphics tonight. All right, let's move on along. And the next one on the docket, Dickinson State at Montana Tech. Dickinson State, 10-6 all-time. Montana Tech in this series, and they play each other 16 times. And by the way, that's really a big deal. Of the 4 matchups in this first round, 3 of them are first-time meetings. This is the only time you're getting to see something that there is some kind of history here. Montana Tech has won 4 straight in this series coming in. Dickinson State on the road, again, 9th straight year to make the playoffs, just like Reinhardt. Will Madler, the quarterback, passing at a clip of 224.7 yards per game, 21 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions. Braden Zuroff, 984 yards rushing. He's going to cross that 1,000-yard rushing plateau on Saturday. You just know it. 16 rushing touchdowns this season. And then Montana Tech, it's the first playoff appearance since 2016. You know that Tech is looking forward to being right back in the mix again. Blake Thielen, 254.6 passing yards per game, 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions on the year. And Landis Smith, especially last week, took a week off almost. Then 2 weeks prior to that, or a week prior to that, he has taken off for the Ore Diggers. 661 rushing yards, 6 rushing touchdowns. That's in just 7 games of work. These are 2 teams, though, by the way, that when they get into the red zone, that things happen. Montana Tech is 5th in the NAIA, 39 for 43 in the red zone, 91% success in the red zone this year. And of those 39 scores in the red zone, 32 touchdowns, 7 field goals. Dickinson State, just behind that, 6th in the NAIA, 43 of 49 in the red zone. That's 88%, 37 touchdowns, 6 field goals. These are 2 teams that when they get within that 20-yard line, you know they're going to score. It's been a tough matchup between the 2 over the years. In the playoffs, they've met 3 times in the 21st century as well. Montana Tech with a 28-21 victory in 2016, a 44-10 victory in 2015, back-to-back years with playoff first-round wins. And then you have to go back to 2004. Dickinson State had a 30-13 win in the playoffs then. These are 2 teams that may see each other in conference games in the future. Not going to happen necessarily next year, so please don't chalk that up for that. It could, but it's not necessarily going to happen. That comes from some news earlier this week that Jamestown is moving from the GPAC into the Northern Star, or the North Star, the North Star Athletic Association for the 24-25 season. Realistically, that's going to be kind of a transition year if Jamestown successfully gets accepted into Division II and makes the transition in 3 years. It's really kind of a stop over there in the North Star, but it would fill a hole where Waldorf left because Waldorf is stepping out from the North Star into the GPAC. 5 teams in football, and they're going to run out of opportunities pretty soon unless some more teams come into the North Star. We can talk about that another time. These 2 teams could meet on a conference level, but right now they're meeting in the first round of the playoffs. Dickinson State, 9-1, on the road at Montana Tech. My team that was a surprise to make it into the first round of the playoffs, and we're picking Dickinson State. We're picking the Blue Hawks 9-1 this season, and word from the North Star, this team is hot. They have had a fantastic year. Just one loss this year. That came against a Frontier Conference team. Rocky Mountain won by 20-19 over Dickinson State. The Blue Hawks have not lost since then. We don't think they're going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. We're picking the road team in this one over Montana Tech. Hey, shout out to Josh Stapp. Josh, man, I hadn't seen you in a long time. I look forward to the next time I get to see you. Working hard. Appreciate that. Can't put it up there on the screen tonight because we're here at our undisclosed location in Central Arkansas. But working hard. Love to hear about some NAIA football. Thanks, Josh. It means a lot, man. Looking forward to getting to see you sometime soon. We need to make an appointment to definitely do that. All right, 2 picks down, 2 more on the way. So far, we have picked St. Thomas and Dickinson State. Let's move on along. Ottawa, which has caused no small stir that the Braves have made the playoffs with a 6-5 record. I'm all for it, though, and I mentioned this on the show Monday night. Ottawa did what it needed to do. It won its division. That's all you can ask. It won its division, and if it took just 4 wins to win its division and lost 7 games along the way, so be it. But 6-5 is where they are right now. Coming off a loss, the Braves are on the road at Dordt Defenders, one of 3 teams in the GPAC to make it into the playoffs, the 20-team field this year. Dordt 8-2. First ever meeting between these 2 programs. Ottawa's first trip to the playoffs since 2014. Billy Maples leading the way, 140.6 passing yards per game, 13 touchdowns to only 8 picks. And Witten Ruth, we've talked about him. Ruth has come alive over the later portion of the season, leading the way on a rushing attack, 100.6 rushing yards per game, 12th in the NAIA. There is 11 rushing touchdowns. This is an Ottawa Braves offense that's putting up 218.6 rushing yards per game as a team. That's 7th in the NAIA. These are 2 of the top 7 teams in rushing in all of the country. We'll get down to what Dordt is doing, along with a strong defense. The Defenders are in the playoffs for only the second time, the first time back in 2020. Dordt led by Colton Cruz, who's passing at a clip of 117.2 yards per game. Not really that much through the air when you consider some of the fantastic passing quarterbacks that are in the playoff field right now. However, he's getting it done. 10 passing touchdowns, 7 picks on the year, but he also can run the ball as well. A Dordt offense that is putting up 246.1 rushing yards per game. That's 3rd in the NAIA. I told you, 2 teams in the top 7 in the NAIA in rushing yards. I know it's dwarfed by what Friends did this year, but every season is dwarfed by what Friends did with its ground game this year. You have to go to what Dordt does on defense also, though, giving up only 14.9 points per game and giving up only 74.1 rushing yards per game. You know, it's interesting how these teams that can run the ball well generally are good on defense at stopping the run as well. I think it's just a part of being able to go against some of these strong teams day in and day out on the practice field, teams that are wearing the same color jersey as you are, by the way. So that can make you stronger. Ottawa at 6-5. Dordt at 8-2. Our pick has nothing to do with the record, but we're picking Dordt anyway. We're going to take the Defenders in this one, representing the GPAC, moving into that second round. We're taking Dordt for the pick right here. So there we go. Pick number 3 is Dordt. Hey, watching from DFW tonight. Hey, thanks, Stephen, for watching. Sure do appreciate you being online with us tonight. I know it's a little bit smaller crowd tonight. That's okay. It's a different time of night. It's a completely different day. I'll be talking volleyball tomorrow, so I hope you enjoy it tonight. All right. Hope the signal's well as well. I don't know. It's tough to see. All right, Stephen, thanks for watching. Let's get to our final pick tonight. I know it's a shorter show. When we've been doing these previews all year and we've had like 45 games each night to pick, a little bit different tonight. Louisiana Christian, 9-1, at Baker, 8-2. First ever meeting between these 2 programs. It's the first ever playoff appearance in the NAIA, that is, for Louisiana Christian, formerly known as Louisiana College. Played in Division III a few years back, made the transition to NAIA just a couple of years ago. led by Sal Palermo III, and Palermo passing 192.7 passing yards per game, 21 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions. That's a pretty good ratio right there for one of these first-round matchups. Devin Briscoe leading the way with 939 rushing yards. He's had 9 rushing touchdowns this year. And Louisiana Christian moving the ball and putting up 480.3 yards of total offense per game. That is second in the NAIA. 282.1 rushing yards per game. That's second in the NAIA. Of course, we know who's first there. That was Friends with that 416 yards per game. 281.2 is nothing to laugh at, though. It's, nothing to sneeze at, nothing to have any kind of bodily function, I guess, at. 282 yards per game is a very strong rushing attack, and Briscoe is leading the way on that. Palermo can move as well. For Baker, it's the first playoff appearance since 2020. The all-time winningest program in NAIA football. The Wildcats are going to be at home in Baldwin for this matchup. We've been mentioning Truman Julesgard lately, and what a season he's having. Julesgard passing at 217.8 yards per game, 17 touchdowns, again, to just 4 interceptions. 2 of them, by the way, came in the season finale against Missouri Valley. The Vikings just had his number there. So coming into that last game of the season, Julesgard had just 2 interceptions on the year, has 4 right now. Rashawn Graves, 788 yards rushing, 9 rushing touchdowns this year. The Wildcats are back in the playoffs. That's big for Baker. Louisiana Christian, first ever playoff appearance, only team from the Sooner Athletic Conference in the playoffs this year. And if you saw the show on Monday night, that was a point of emphasis for Vince. He was very unhappy about that. Louisiana Christian is there, though. And in this first-round matchup, Louisiana Christian at Baker, and our pick on Midwest Sportsnet is Louisiana Christian. We are taking the Wildcats. I know they're both Wildcats. We're taking the Wildcats that'll be wearing the visitor jersey on this game, and we just think that Louisiana Christian may have a little bit more in the tank. It's been a strong season for Coach Maddox's squad, and we're going to take Louisiana Christian to go 1-for-1 at least so far in the playoffs, winning this first game. 3 matchups that are first-time meetings of these 4 first-round games. Should be a lot of fun on Saturday. I'm looking forward to following all of that. I hope you are as well. And I look back over, let me see if I can pull this other monitor up here really quickly. Thanks to everyone for sticking around and watching this tonight. We'll be back for sure on Sunday, and we will talk about the top 5 performances from the weekend gone by. Of course, that's going to be fairly easy, I'm sure, to choose with just 4 games to talk about. And then next week we'll be previewing the second round with a few more matchups to talk about then as well. We will also be live from Hot Springs on Saturday. Midwest Sports Saturday will originate from Hot Springs. We'll talk football. We'll talk volleyball. We may talk some basketball. Who knows? We'll talk about that and more. So please stay with the channel. And it is growing. We're about to hit some milestones. So please continue to enjoy the videos right here on Midwest Sportsnet. We love talking about small college sports and more throughout the Midwest and beyond. Our picks again tonight, 2 road teams as we are picking Dickinson State and Louisiana Christian. We're picking 2 home teams as we are picking St. Thomas and we are picking Dort. So those are our picks. They're on record. Thanks again for watching tonight. Please continue to be a part of the channel. And a special shout out tonight to my son Joseph. Sure do love you, and I am so proud of you. I'm glad God gave you to me, so a shout out to him. Thanks for watching. Keep it right here on Midwest Sportsnet. I'm Joey McWilliams. Have to shift gears and start thinking volleyball.